What's up, everyone? Thanks for joining me. My name's Inez, and today I want to talk about why the divine masculine runs from the twin flame connection. This is like one of the biggest topics on the menu in terms of the twin flame journey. It's not always, of course, the divine masculine who runs. Sometimes it's the divine feminine, but more often than not, it tends to be the masculine energy, the divine masculine energy that finds itself running from the connection. So I want to break down why that's happening. But first, I want to remind you guys to follow me on Instagram if you want to see more content from me, as well as to join my Facebook group where we talk about the shifts that take you from a light worker into a leader with impact. So the links for both of those are below if you feel so called. Okay, so let's get into why the divine masculine runs from the twin connection. So before we can really explore this, we have to understand the dynamics of masculine energy, which is electric radiant energy, and feminine energy, which is magnetic energy. So feminine energy is the energy that pulls everything back into a place of unity, or it pulls everything into a place of unity, right? So yin energy is taking things and expanding them. And that expansion provides for unity on a more highly evolved level. But that experience of being pulled in and expanded is also the opposite of the masculine energy. It's a loss of the sense of individuality. It's a loss of a sense of separativeness, right? And that is the contrast that we come up against between the feminine and masculine energies when we find the divine masculine running. So let's rewind. So feminine energy is pulling things in, expanding them, reconnecting them to unity. Masculine energy is about separation in the sense of it's about finding our individuality. It's about self-realization. It's about self-actualization. It's about the process of understanding who we are and then expressing who we are in the outside world. And so that process is very much about the individual. It's very much about the individual existing as a separate entity from the whole. And of course, the balance between these energies is understanding that we are both separate, individual, and a part of the interconnected whole. We are both. But when we look at the dynamics of these two, because we have to understand that in the twin relationship, there is a push-pull between these energies, the feminine and the masculine. And that's the whole point. As one of the pillars of the twin flame dynamic is the fact that each twin has to balance their inner feminine and masculine. And most often, twin flames are incarnated as a man and a woman, and they create this very tangible mirroring for one another of one another's feminine side, masculine side. And the way that we relate to our twin really shows us to what degree we've found and are able to maintain and harness balance between these two sides of the self. These two sides of our oneness, right? The duality within our oneness. So why does the divine masculine run? So going back to talking about the feminine energy, how the feminine energy expands things into unity and pulls things in. And so on a highly evolved level, that means that, yeah, we can work with the feminine energy to expand into that state of enlightenment where we find ourselves, I am that I am, but I am also nothing, right? We go into that place of nothingness, that void, that the feminine is the void. And depending to what degree we're relating to that energy of the void, it can feel either like a place of limitless possibility, which is when we have our feminine and masculine energies balanced, the void feels like this place where anything is possible. But when we're imbalanced, the void feels like it's terrifying. Like the unknown is just this place of that's where all of our fears come from. That's where so much of our resistance comes from, is like we don't know how to deal with the unknown. We don't know how to deal with the fact that our lives are in majority unknown, right? That's the resistance to the feminine. It's the fear of the unknown, the void, not having the mindset that sees it as a place of limitless potential, but rather having the mindset that sees it as this place of like, I'm going to lose myself in that. And when we kind of look at the mindset of the divine masculine who has not yet balanced his feminine and masculine energies, and as always, when I say feminine, masculine, he, she, I'm referring to energies, not genders. Okay, so it can apply to, just take what resonates. But when we're looking at the divine masculine that has not balanced his energies, that place of the feminine, the void, is terrifying. And so, the common thing that you hear is like, oh yeah, the divine masculine is just, he's afraid. He's afraid of the intensity of the connection. He's afraid of like going to that place of the unknown. He's afraid of the void. And to some degree, yeah, that is absolutely part of what makes the divine masculine run from the connection. And that is something that we can sort of look at and consider. But we don't really have any control over that as divine feminines. We don't have any influence really as to when our divine masculine is going to overcome that fear of the unknown and be ready to engage with the void. But what we do have control over is our behavior and our energetic inclination towards the connection. We have control over the balance of our feminine and masculine energies. And so I want to talk about the other side of, why the masculine runs. That doesn't necessarily have to do with, oh, he's afraid of the connection. It has to do with what the divine feminine is putting out with her energies, okay? And when we look back at understanding that the divine feminine is about fusion and expansion, right? To bring everything into a place of unity, we have to understand how it comes together. We fuse, right? And that's the energy that the divine feminine brings to the connection with the masculine, right? It's like you just want to fuse. You just want to fuse with your divine masculine. You want to transcend the separativeness of one another through coming together. You want to expand into that transcendent spiritual reality that is accessible with him because of the way that you guys can come together. But the thing about that, the way that expresses for the feminine, when the energies are imbalanced, is attachment. And that's what I really want to focus on today as the reason why the divine masculine runs from the connection. Because yes, there's the fact that like, okay, sure, he's not ready. Maybe he's afraid. But more often than not, what he's running from, divine feminine, is your attachment to him, to the connection, to the desired outcome that you want. And listen, I don't want to blame divine feminine, okay? Because I get it, okay? It's very intense. The feeling that you have, the love that you have for your divine masculine is out of this world. Like, there really are no words to describe it. And when you feel so intensely about someone and, on your end, you're experiencing all these things. You might be having prophetic visions. You're having these crazy dreams. You're seeing into the future. Some of us meet our spirit babies. Like, it's very intense. The whole thing is mind-blowingly intense. And for us as divine feminine to be going through all of this, to feel so much emotion and to not be able to express that, and to have our divine masculine not be able to receive that, and to have him run away from that, it's very difficult. But that's also why so much of the experience of the divine feminine in the twin connection is about the purification of our heart centers and the purification of the way that we love. And I'm going to save that for another video, but everything your divine masculine is doing is always right. He's always right, okay? In the sense that when his higher self calls him to leave the connection or take space from you, or it's not because he doesn't care, and it's not because he doesn't want to engage with you, and it's not even because he doesn't love you. The bond is one of unconditional love. His soul loves you. But the reason why he leaves is because his higher self is indicating to him in a language that he might not even be consciously aware of, that there's an imbalance in the dynamic and that you need space. And Divine Feminine, you do need space. You need the space to purify the way that you love, so that you can love without attachment, so that you can desire without expectation. And really, this is like becoming a Buddha. Like, I always like joke about this, like with my Divine Feminine friends. It's like we're becoming like Jedi warrior Buddha priestesses. Like, it's a very intense journey. But that's what you're being called to do. You're being called to learn how to love unconditionally. This is about divine love. This is love without attachment, love without expectation, love without, needing it to be any kind of way. Love with surrender, with just ultimate trust in the universe and the universal orchestration that is constantly at play in your connection. So when your Divine Masculine runs, that's a part of the universal orchestration of the connection. And your reaction to it, whether you're closing yourself off, whether you're blaming your Divine Masculine, whether you're in a place of resentment, all that is showing you is how many impurities there are in your heart that you have to purify so that you can come to a place where you're in the vibration of divine love. And that's the thing that on a deeper level, this journey is teaching you. It's not just about how to love your Divine Masculine unconditionally. It's about stepping into the vibration of unconditional love at all times, that be your baseline in your day-to-day reality. Unconditional love. That is what it means to ground divine love on this planet. And that actually, maybe some of us come together before we get to that place. But for a union that actually lasts, we need to come to that place. Both twins need to come to that place, the Divine Feminine and Masculine, of the vibration of unconditional love as our baseline for self, for each other, but for all, for every experience that we meet with in the world. And so that's really the big thing to look at in terms of what we do have control over in the dynamic of the connection. Are we loving with attachment? Are we loving with expectation? Are we loving with the desire to it's like an unconscious desire to, the way that it feels to the Divine Masculine is like it's a stripping of his independence, his freedom, his identity, his individual sense of self. That's what it feels like when that energy is of the Divine Feminine is imbalanced and in that place of attachment and fusion and longing. And that energy is very repulsive for the Divine Masculine, literally, right? That's why we have this. It's literally like two sides of a magnet, okay, that just deflect each other. Well, I guess it would be the same side of the magnet. But anyway, whatever, you know what I'm saying. There's this whole dance between the Divine Feminine and the Divine Masculine energies that is mirrored and expressed within our connections. So I hope that was helpful for those of you who are watching, maybe gave you another perspective in which to see this. And I love you all. I wish you a beautiful rest of your day whenever you may be watching this. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.